We're on screen right now.
Oh, that's cool. Can you see us in the thing? I'm sure people can hear us.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I'm watching us.
Oh, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I like this. This is welcome to the show, guys. We're testing out a new. This is nice. I'm glad people got to see it with the logo spinning. I was kind of hoping this would happen, just pop up on the screen. But big news, big show, new technology, new year, new schedule, same league. This is nice. We have a schedule. It's not a new league. It's been like the last 4 years. Every time we have a schedule, it's a new league. Oh, it's the USFL, a new league, new schedule. XFL's back, new league, new schedule. Jam them together. UFL, new league, season 2, and we're here to talk about it on Around the UFL. So since you know what, I'm not gonna let this go. We're still putting up the intro. So enjoy the intro. You probably can see us too.
Are you ready?
I'm just gonna. You can't have a show without an intro. I'm just gonna say, same intro though.
Are you ready?
I got it. I'll just go right to the welcome, everybody, to Around the UFL, showing off this brand new technology that we have. I'm glad you could join us. I'm joined, I'm a little bit sad James couldn't make it. We'll give him a pass, but I do have a big panel with us, a great panel, maybe the best panel in the world. Zachy boy, we'll start with you. How you doing? How is your year so far?
It's going smooth like butter for me right now. Lots of adventure in the last 48 hours. So we're doing okay. Okay.
Shucky ducky, quack. How you doing, my man? Cleveland Browns signed up. How you doing today? How was your New Year's Eve, New Year, all that jive?
Good. Already failed my New Year's resolution.
Which was?
To not hate on the Battlehawks anymore.
Oh my.
I mean, and we'll talk about it. I think we both have exclusive news regarding the Battlehawks. I'll be honest, I don't know what your exclusive news is. I don't know if you know what mine is. Maybe it's the same. Well, we'll get to that maybe a little bit later. Mr. Thorne, how you doing? I like what I see in the background. I don't think you had those the last time around. Now, I'll give you credit. You went a step above me. Yours is actually hanging on the wall. Mine's just leaning on the wall. You should be amazed it's in a frame, but sign you up. How are you doing? How is your new year?
Doing good. That's like half credit. I feel like you're good.
Good.
You're just put a nail in the wall. You'll be there.
Well, I got to figure out what I want to do with this wall. It's a big, beautiful wall, but I don't know what to do with it. I have most of my stuff is in front of me, which is great for me, but not great for the people looking at the screen. And it's funny, if you look at these banners in real life, they're huge. Zach, you've seen them. It's huge. But on the screen, it doesn't really take up much real estate. Right now, I will say I got like 1 million of these things, but I'm not sure if I want to make wallpaper out of them just yet. So I'm evaluating before I start moving and taking down, but one of these days, and I don't know. We'll get there. Anyway, we got big news. We're live. It's here. It's Thursday night. I mean, this is just like the UFL going to Friday nights. This is a new night for this show. We've probably done it with the UFL, maybe the USFL podcast at one point, but this is a live ATU. I don't know if we've ever done an ATU outside of Monday night. So for all the folks here, feel good. Zach, you did confirm we are live, right?
I'm watching us.
Oh, good. Good. I'm just making sure because
intro, it is for everyone to see.
I just want to see. Can we see the chat? Can we see the chat in here? Can we not see the chat in here?
I got the chat opened up.
I was just saying,
because I'm looking at where James called me scrumptious.
Okay, but there's not a way that I see to do it from here. So interesting. Okay.
Full disclosure, I'm the one that usually drops the poll questions in the chat during our shows. So, I'm waiting for that time.
We'll
got
get
some
there.
Ideas.
Well,
Just give me a
I
moment.
mean, big news of the week. Big news. We just speculated, Zach, on the last episode of the UFL podcast. Speculation zone. When will we see the schedule? We were saying, probably by the end of next week. Funny enough, we didn't get it when some had speculated, others had speculated, but we're not going to sit here and speculate about speculation because we got the big news. Now, hey, you know what I'm excited about. Before we get we'll go around first impressions, first thoughts. We all know what mine is. We all know. We all know what my first impression of this beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, meticulously well put together football schedule is that they wanted to start out the season with a bang. One, they wanted to remind you who the Houston Roughnecks are. They said, who's the team that everybody thinks of when they think of the XFL or the UFL or maybe even spring football in general? Right now, it's the St. Louis Battlehawks. Oh, there's so many people that come to those games, so many people that are going to watch them, but they're not going to be able to watch them at home week one. Why? Well, a couple things. First, they got to re-debut that big and beautiful TD-ECU stadium. And two, put the league, the fans, and the world on notice that the Houston Roughnecks are going 12-0 in 2025. I mean, what a beautiful way to start off the season with the newest, greatest dynasty ever, possibly ever in any sport. Tennis, book it. Put them out there. They'll win. Curling, I wouldn't put my money on the other team. That's all I'll say. The other thing that I'll point out, they did a pretty good job keeping these games on Fox, ABC, and ESPN. I saw, I think, an ESPN2 somewhere in the list, an FSN1, but those are the only two games I think that are outside of the traditional box. Those are my first two, oh, great. Starting the season out right with a Houston Roughnecks win and keeping the games accessible. Zach, thoughts?
Well, besides the point of you putting a 12-0 mark, as always, I'm gonna leave that one for last. Just let's get the nitty gritty of the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Yes, keeping it on and going with accessible channels has been the marquee of the UFL or any of these two leagues in the last 4 years. And yes, again, good job by Fox and ABC, Disney for keeping them mostly on their main platforms. So Fox has 20 total games this year, including playoffs, as their listed games. That also includes the Friday games, by the way, in that marquee. And then ABC, ESPN combined without ESPN2 has 21. You only have 2 games on this whole schedule that are from those different non-main networks, which is a good thing, I think, because I know FS1 used to be that. It's not anymore. We've had this discussion adamantly now for several years. So go with the main ones that people know best and have the easiest access to. ESPN is cable, but it is a large cable entity still. Lots of people will find ways to get it. And the good news is they'll still probably put them on ESPN Plus. So win-win-win all across the board. You're going to be able to find these games super easy and for little to no money out of your pocket. Always a win for the consumer.
Real quick, before we move to Ducky, who we've seen has the script. So it might be, I don't know, we might be cheating a little bit on this. In the chat, I am looking at the chat. Let us know if the audio is good. I think we're good. I don't know if anybody's good, if anybody needs to be turned up, turned down. My biggest thing is me. Let me know if I'm loud as hell, because I might be loud as hell.
By the way, in the chat, we have news that Jay Sternberger might have joked around on X a little too much because he is apparently re-signed.
Oh, I took that the wrong way at first. I didn't realize you were talking about the social media platform. I thought you were talking about joking around on X completely. I was like, wait, what did I miss? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to go too far off field, but I mean, am I too crazy to even think that? I was watching New Year's Eve, CNN, they had one of the guys, Diplo. He was on there tripping on LSD. So anyway. Ducky.
Well, and actually, it's a big transaction one. We'll go and dive deep into it, but I do want to get it out of the way. It's not only Jay Sternberger. Birmingham also gets LaMichael Petway, and then St. Louis locks in Hakeem Butler again for this year. So massive signing day for targets in the UFL. But back to the schedule. I don't know. Let's toss it to Thorne here. Nick, thoughts on the schedule release and the broadcast release? I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's pretty similar to the accessibility of recent years, so nothing crazy on that note. But I'm trying to look at like some of the schedules in terms of like who people have to play back end or how spread out it is.
Yeah, I think as far as that goes, the one that I really like looked at first is like, oh, that's interesting for like teams, because normally there's not that crazy of a deal because everyone plays everyone, and you play your division twice. There's not like wow, this guy has a hard schedule or this guy has an easy schedule usually. The one that I'm really looking at though is Memphis and Michigan, and how like those teams, because right now, I'm sorry, ref, the division in for the USFL I think is Birmingham has a pretty has a lead, and Houston's a little bit lagging behind. So those two are the teams that I think like could realistically jump for that second playoff spot, and they play each other twice in the first 4 weeks. So especially Michigan could absolutely end their season in the first month, because if Memphis comes out and plays well and they come out the gate well, which is not a guarantee, it's a new staff, like they're going to probably have some growing pains. If they can win both those games, Michigan's other two games are San Antonio and Birmingham. So they have a brutal schedule if Memphis is good. And so they could really be behind the 8 ball at like 1-3 if Memphis ends up being as good as some of us think and hope. So that's really the one that I thought was like the most notable. I love the opening game in Houston, putting it in a new city, a city that can kind of need some, pumping up. You're back at the old stadium. The attendance wasn't great last year. You hope they're good, and kind of get back to the old Roughnecks, where they were one of the better teams in the XFL. But that's really the one thing that I think I'm most intrigued by, and something to watch really early on in the season, especially because Memphis is going to have probably the most turnover, and Michigan I think is going to have the least turnover. They haven't made many moves at all this offseason. I think it's two very interesting teams there.
No doubt about that. I'll tell you though, you're absolutely right about the USFL conference, where it feels like half of that conference is really like front or back loaded to be set up that way for that conference games, and could make or break how the year goes. Or I'll be honest with you, like we're talking Michigan or Houston. So like Houston's good or Michigan's good. Like one of those two teams, like say you have Michigan's terrible, Houston could have a very reasonable end of year schedule, which could have huge playoff implications, since 2 of the last 3 games would be against the Panthers. Flip side, Houston would have to play Michigan. Say Michigan's great. Well, and Houston can't get 12-0 again, because let's face it, ref, you haven't had much of winning going on these days. I mean, hey,
we were waiting for the season, saving up our wins.
My only crime of this whole thing is you and I can't have our bets until the end of the year with that.
Yeah, I mean, we could still bet if ref's law continues, because the real deal is ref's law is such a mean curse in that neither of our teams can win consecutively on the same week.
Yeah,
now, after I win, we win. I don't want to take credit for my wonderful team. After we win, the Houston Roughnecks win, destroy the Battlehawks. We'll have to see, because then we can wait and we'll see. Okay, are the Panthers going to beat the Showboats? They should. We should have an easy ref's law shattering weekend to open the season and free not just me, Zach, both of us, the world from this curse. 100%. Did I ever mention ref's law? 100% over. I think it was 3 years we looked back. It might be 2. I think it was 3.
Surprisingly, by the definition of ref's law last year, it was extremely accurate, which is a little scary. But yes,
Ref's law is mean. Ref's law, and it'll anyway. Ducky, thoughts? Did you give thoughts?
Yeah.
It's not.
You did give
my
thoughts?
No.
No,
Memphis
Gaslight
has
reveal.
Memphis has 4 night games at 8 p.m. Eastern time. They're all away. That's okay though.
Getting them out and about. I mean, to be fair, when you're doing stadium renovation, I would probably want to highlight them at other places that they would be highlighted for this year instead.
Yeah.
Even though they'll be playing at that venue, of course.
So you think they're going to be road warriors this year?
At least in prime time, that is.
Yeah.
Which I do. I do like a good night game. I enjoy a good night game. I'm curious to see. So, the one thing we're, just kind of going back and without, the true reality of the situation on who's going to win the game. I will say it is good. The game's at 8, which is 7 Central here. Rush hour is sticky in Houston. So that is one thing that I'll be interested to see is how much when people show up to a Friday night game in a city that has a lot of traffic, right? It's more curiously, which we'll see, and we're going to talk about a little bit. Spring Stock 4, baby. I don't know. I was talking about it before this thing. I don't even think I talked about it here. Spring Stock 4, it's official, baby. Throw some swangers on your rental car, head on down to TDECU Stadium. I think it's lot C, lot 3. It's lot C or 3 is the tailgate lot. We'll have more details as it comes, but the game kicks off at 7 p.m. Central. We're probably going to be out there, Zach, I'd say at noon. We're probably going to be out there at noon.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to go live at noon, but we're going to be out there at noon. So if you want to come and hang out with the podcast gang, come hang out because we're going to be out. Spring Stock 4. Finally in Houston. That's the one thing I was really hoping Houston would have a home game opening weekend. Even if it wasn't the first game, I was going to say, you know what, screw it. Even if it's the second or the third game, we're doing Spring Stock in Houston. The UFL, sign you up. I'm so happy. They hooked me up here. They really hooked it up because now it's really easy to we have all the stuff to do Spring Stock. And this is the easiest. Last year I thought we had a good with Dallas. The only thing that's different this time, Zach, is we're not going to drive past a Buc-ee's. But I do know one that we can go out of our way to get to. So we could do that. I don't know. What are more thoughts on the schedule? I mean, the big thing to me, and we touched on this a little bit, but I really, really do appreciate the fact that we're not seeing a lot of FS2, FS1, ESPN2 games. There's a good mix of ESPN, but you know what? I'll give ESPN the one fact that I really actually don't mind when the games are on ESPN is they're on ESPN Plus. Mm-hmm. I wish, please, come on, Fubo, get over it. I know. I shouldn't even be mad at Fubo. They're probably the good guys in this situation, but I really wanted that venue app just so I could have one app that, I don't need every channel. I don't watch I watch 2 channels during spring football season. Well, it depends on what the mix is, but it's Fox Sports 1, ESPN, and ABC. That's what I watch during spring football season. You know what else I watch? Nothing. So get that venue app. Zach, you work at Fox. Can you get the word in that
I'm trying, man. I can only give so much. And it's a three company venture venue. I only have so much pull at stake. But I hope it pans out as well too, because I've got colleagues that are in that department, and I hope the best for them. I'd like to see them stick with venue, if I'm being honest with you. But for now, that's not really. For now, the UFL is not involved in that. It would have been if it is, but court issues aside. My only other thing I wanted to touch on with this for sure is kind of something Ducky touched on with like the primetime games, like the Friday night games, because I think that's gonna be a big deal. Is like, hey, who are they highlighting right now? We haven't heard anything if there's like a potential for flexing these or whatnot. So, not saying that's impossible. They've done it in the past with previous
spring
leagues,
football,
but,
they're gonna, if they have the opportunity to have a banger game at a better time slot. Never put it.
Yeah, and credit that does come down to venue and venueability and all that, which they're a little more locked into compared to other leagues. Otherwise, we would be talking about the Brahmas playing 5 games at home this season instead of 4. So, asterisk by that discussion. But the Friday night games aside, I mean, clearly they're loading up, as you can see, with the usual suspects. Ducky was bringing up they have. At least in primetime, Memphis is going to be on the road for several of those several primetime games in a period. But, Memphis does get a few on Friday. Birmingham early in the season gets a lot more Friday games. And then St. Louis and San Antonio, I've noticed back into the years where they dominate the Friday slate right now, including a later season matchup between the two for Friday night, which should be a high profile game if the two are on a collision course like they were last year to be up near the top of the division. Could change. DC, obviously, I don't think they're going to be playing around like they were again, and hopefully health is on their side. Nick probably hopes that too. But, that SA and St. Louis matchup late in the year is one that I am thrilled to see because that is one with playoff implications in prime time. Should get some people talking, hopefully.
Yeah, DC St. Louis that final week on a Friday
Yes.
night. I'll admit that I haven't been keeping up completely with all the rumors and stuff. I thought I had heard at one point that DC wasn't going to have any Friday night games, so that was a nice little surprise. I kind of didn't have that. I thought it was going to be a bunch of like noon, 3 o'clock games, which is kind of how it was last year. I love night games. I think that's the best atmosphere in that stadium. It gets a little bit more ruckus. And I'm excited. I think that's a game that like we'll see, but I think that should have some playoff implications. I think both those teams are going to be good this year. We'll see with St. Louis that they're going to have to work through some things, and DC's got to have to step it up a little bit. They've had a good off season, but that's definitely one of the matchups that, like, as a fan of a team, like for DC, like that one and Birmingham week 1 were the two that I was like, ooh, that jumped off the page as like, wow, those are going to be games that are going to really matter during this season and could really, sway this one way or another.
Right, and you're hoping that game in particular, credit season plays out one way or another, but just imagine you do get to that playoff, like, final round moment like we're going to see in the NFL this week. Maybe not the same scale as like a Vikings and Lions, but like something where it's like, hey, could decide seeding, could decide matchups even more, or these two play and we get the classic spring football rematch next week. Let's see what these guys do this week against each other. That's something I'm looking forward to, is like, it's also in just a great crowd atmosphere in DC. Again, perfect place to display your fan base on Friday night, and they're going to pack it in. So I like it. And, again, I talked about the Battlehawks and Brahmas. So those are week 9's the Brahmas matchup with the Battlehawks. Week 10 is where they go on the road to then play in DC. So you're getting some of the largest fan bases at the end of the year that are going to be fighting in what will be a very competitive conference in the XFL. So nice job with able to schedule that and, recognizing, hey, these will be some good games to put on our new Friday night primetime slate we've been pushing since this past fall.
Quick thing. So Boomer Sooners Isaac in the chat wants to know who the other jersey you have behind you, Nick, other than McFarland. What's the other jersey you have there?
The other one is Elijah Campbell, XFL 2020. He was a cornerback for DC. He's on the Dolphins now. He was probably one of the most successful 2020 DC defenders. So, I wanted to get something DC. I got the McFarland, and I was like, I got to get something DC, and that was the one that stood out to me. So, that's the other one right there.
Sign you up. Now, he was also asking about whatever. I can't use that one right there. This years, I'm such a lazy. We were talking about this before the show. You have yours already framed. You should be shocked that mine's in the frame, but I finally got it. The USFL ref jersey. And I'm shocked I have it in the frame this early. From the inaugural USFL championship, we talked about this already, though, on the last episode of the UFL podcast. So if you want to hear me talk about it, it's over there, but I'll explain what it is. A couple other things just with this schedule here, because I do want to call out opening weekend. A couple things that I like on this. First, you have the opening game in Houston. Great. I talked about the reasons I like that. But I do like the fact that the next game is a Texas Throwdown in Arlington because, one, you can kind of mix up your Texas crowds. It's easy for your San Antonio crowd to get there. It's easy for anybody. I know it's not a huge amount of people, but there are people that do fly out to the opening game of the UFL, USFL, XFL, happen in the AAF. It happens with any league. There's people that fly out to those opening weekend games. You know what this does? This puts another game on the table and says, you know what? It's not next door, but it's a 3-hour drive. Do you want to invest in a 3-hour drive? Now, one thing I would love to see the UFL do is something that the XFL was talking about doing in 2020, or at least the ticketing team for the Roughnecks, and set up charter buses that can go at minimum for the home and away team. So when Houston's playing in Dallas or San Antonio, have an extra package set up. Take that free money on the table because it does two things. One, you're selling extra tickets, right? You're getting extra revenue. But two, you're getting people to these games. You're filling more seats in the crowd where, yeah, I might drive the 3 hours. And so that's going to be me and my wife or me and you, Zach, or all three of us, right? But not everybody is. So other people got things to do. But you throw them on a bus, then it actually changes things a little bit. Maybe doesn't become a party, but it could become like a little pseudo party of everybody there is all for the same thing. So it's kind of like without a barbecue, it's a tailgate on wheels. Now you can't be crazy. There's a guy driving the bus, but I'm sure you could sing, the wheels on the bus go round and round, instead of beer bottles, swap it out with footballs, something. Anyway, maybe I'm a crazy person. Maybe I'm old.
Well, so I'll throw arena football into the ring. There are some teams that do that on the regular, and I think that is a great idea for regional rivalries. So, back when the Orlando Predators and the Jacksonville Sharks were playing the same league a few years ago, they used to do a kind of a cooperative setup where, they'd play 2 games a year against each other. So one, you'd have Orlando fans get into a bus, drive up, drop them off in Jacksonville. You have a contingent there, sells tickets for the other team. It's a win-win, and then vice versa. So to me, with how it's set up, that's what we've been talking about this a little bit on the side, and I kind of wish to see that more. We've done the trip Memphis to Birmingham, others have done that too. That are diehard horsemen over there. I mean, that'd be just great to hey, why not just get more people? We'll get a few more Birmingham fans that are interested. Hey, we have an official group getting together. We can have the horsemen sponsor it, and then you can get everybody in like a rented charter, drive up there if you were to do that as well. Same thing. St. Louis ain't that far from Memphis. You could do stuff like that if you wanted. The Texas teams, I mean, that's a freaking slam dunk for several. Imagine the freaking Texas Throwdown, like Arlington versus Houston. That's an easy one you could probably set up, and it's a one-time game of the year anymore. There's no 2 anymore. It ain't the XFL conference set up. It's a one-time rivalry game that they're trying to get going and set up. They made T-shirts for it. They clearly want it to still happen. Why not get a charter bus together and set that up for tickets, get more people into your venue that you're going to be at this year? So I think there are opportunities. The league has to take advantage of. That's always the thing. It's great ideas. We can think about these ideas. It's the execution and what the league thinks about doing. It's up to them to be forward thinking on stuff like this to get people in butts in seats. It's on them. Remember, it's not on us, the fans. They have to sell us and find us our way getting there. Always remember that when we talk ticket numbers, by the way.
One thing I would like to see, and this is just me being picky, so discount it. It's a stupid ask, but it's an ask that I think has a little bit of merit. It's not the usual dumb ref thing. It's just a silly dumb ref thing. So last year when they had the Texas Throwdown t-shirts, they were actually neat. I liked them. I enjoyed them a lot. But when they had the players on the front of the shirt, they were just generic players. To me, you're missing out on an opportunity to showcase crucial members of the Texas teams, right? So again, maybe things are a little bit different. I get it, sure, but I look at a couple things. I look back at the XFL 2020, and they were really good. There was PJ Walker shirts, there was Cam Sutton shirts, there was a few different shirts, right? Then you look at USFL. They were really good with their Player of the Week, and then they would have a shirt, which I really missed that. I really missed when they had shirts every week on Breaking Tea, which if you still want to get them, they're available, and you can get 10% off using code USFL Newsroom. Mm-hmm. Yep, you didn't hear me wrong. It's USFL Newsroom. Throwback coupon code for a throwback shirt. You can get 10% off of that. So sign you up. Anyway, I would like to see them put a little bit extra touch. Now, if I may take a moment to grind my gears a little bit on something. I talked about this on the Discord, and I talked about it with you, Zach, off the show, but I am going to talk about it on the show. The UFL jerseys, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of them. And this should mean a lot, because I'm the shill guy. I'm the guy who will butter it all up. These jerseys, the jerseys are fine. So I don't want to paint the picture. They're actually, with an asterisk, they're better than USFL Season 2 jerseys. The material is fine.
You cycled me back to the merch sales jerseys. I was like waiting a second.
Sorry. Yeah, I should have clarified. But the UFL jerseys to buy that I bought, at least, maybe there's some different ones. The ones that we just bought off the official UFL shop, they're literal stickers for the numbers. Not kind of stickers. They look like stickers that feel like they're stickers. I already see it peeling, and and I know if I do, and then maybe that's fine. Maybe I'll wear it with no numbers. Maybe that's what it's meant for. Maybe I'll spray paint my own numbers on it. Maybe that's what it's meant to be. I don't know. Right now? I wish I did. It's in the other room. And
get the fumes.
But I will bring it on for one of the, you know what? Can I just hide my camera? How do I do this?
It's hidden.
Look,
I'll be back.
Hidden. You've disappeared. He is vanishing into the ether. He will find his jersey.
He's wearing pajama pants.
Taken over.
For anybody wondering why he didn't want a camera, he's wearing Hello Kitty pajamas. I'm just kidding. He's wearing Memphis pajamas.
Is not safe with us.
I know.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, cat cam. Hello.
How do I turn this camera back on?
You sound like you're ancient every time you try and mess with something right now. I love it.
That's how it rolls. So it's probably hard to tell on the camera. So here's the interesting thing. I think these changed because I remember seeing them in Houston. I was like, oh, they're not actually as bad as I thought. So the Houston, this is stitched. Great. The logo, stitched. Perfect. I don't need the numbers to be stitched. You can't really do it justice to, if you felt them, maybe I could, they're stickers. I don't know if you just folding them, you could tell. If I wash this, there will be no numbers on this jersey after maybe 3 washes. Let me see if I can find, there's one of them specifically that was peeling off. Again, I am a lunatic. Oh, just feeling it makes me sad and upset. Anyway, I tried to find a way to return it. Yeah, the numbers are already wrinkling. So anyway, I'm just going to hang it up. It was too late to return. And I'm such a horrible husband. My wife gives it to me. And I'm like, man. And she's like, oh, did I get the wrong one? I'm like, no, it's not you. And I was like, you're fine. I said, actually, this is an amazing gift. I'm glad that you thought to get me this. But I went into this, I was like, they should be ashamed of themselves. Christmas morning. Anyways.
You crack me up. That's out of pocket. That's such a terrible husband.
I'm a lucky husband, actually. Most wives would, I would be in trouble. She's like, oh, Stefan, you silly rascal. Then I told her to make me breakfast. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
God,
I'm waiting for a Birmingham joke or something stupid.
what a mess.
No, this is a new year. Me and Stevie T are on a whole new like level, dude. Anyway,
Oh, Stevie. Hope
he
you're
had
over here.
something about me on Twitter the other day. What was he mad about? He was mad about something. It's about something I didn't even do. He was mad at.
It was me. I think I did it. And he got mad at you.
I like it. I still believe Stevie T is like in on it. I don't think he's actually angry. If he is,
I
then
think
it's
he is.
funnier.
I think
But
I think he's here for it. He's ready to go.
so what do we got? What do we got here? Let's
I
take a
mean-
look at the chat. I haven't see this is different. See, we have this new thing. We're using Riverside. Out of transparency, I just expected that we'd be able to pop the chat up on the screen like we did with StreamYard. But Boomer Sooners has a request for you, Ducky. He says, say Central Time is the best.
Whoa, no. I'm from Ohio.
Oh, that's right. You are in the stupid East Coast gang.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Whoa.
Yes, he is.
Thorn is also.
He is also the
I'm offended.
Actually, Jake, James, me, Thorn.
See, Zach is actually in the best time zone. Zach has what I like to
Arizona?
call best of both worlds.
Yeah,
so
the nose.
half a year he's in Pacific, half a year he's in like, what is it, Mountain?
Yes. You crazy kids and your time switches. I don't need to change no damn clocks in this place.
Whoa.
I am consistent. What the-
I'm curious, Zach, when because this is how it was when I worked in Arizona. So although your time doesn't change, do your hours at work change?
They do not.
See, I had to shift my hours by an hour, which was really annoying.
Oh, that is annoying. I'm very lucky they don't do that. For my job, all that does is whatever's on television, I have to adjust what I am working on. So I could have more live TV. I could have less live TV depending on the time of year, which, I mean, mileage may vary on how you want to do that, but it's cool. It's cool.
Somebody
Yes,
said,
Dan. This
yeah,
is a
you got
cable
it.
knit. Girlfriend got it for me for Christmas, so shout out to her.
oh, wow, sign you up.
Yeah, you can see you can see kind of like the texture. It looks pretty
Dude,
nice.
it's nice. It's like it's got a little heart on it. That's their logo type thing.
I'm just trying to count. How many years have I known you, Ducky?
2022.
2. So 3, 4. We'll say this is 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. In those 3 years, you were a Breakers fan. You were a Maulers fan. You're a Showboats fan. You were a
DC.
Steelers fan.
He was DC there. For
He
a
was a
second.
DC fan and a Browns fan. People give me a hard time because I'll sometimes root for U of M or Michigan State, depending on who they're playing. Because I'm like, you know what? Michigan, sign them up. People give me a real hard time about that. I'm just, next time somebody does, I'm going to be like, look, bro, I've known one guy 3 years, and he, in that span of years, supported 6 teams.
To be fair, my college team will never change.
Yeah.
It'll
That's a
always
shame.
be the Ohio State University.
It's a shame.
Can't wait till we expand to Ohio next year. You get a new team.
Whoa. Thorn's leaking stuff. No.
You're blowing his brain apart, Nick. Hold on.
Said, I'm waiting. See, what you guys don't realize is Trump's in office now, and he's sick and tired of people eating the dogs and cats, and we are
Jesus Christ.
kicking Ohio out of the country. We're just no more. It's just going to be a wall around Ohio. And
know what I
you know what
always
I
tell
say? Make it a dome.
I always tell people whenever they like crap talk Ohio, I'm like, well, your favorite football player wants to end up there one day. And they're like, my favorite football player doesn't want to play for the Browns or the Bengals. And I'm like, no, they want to end up in Canton. And they're always like,
Hey,
oh, you got me.
it's a smart one. I'm saving that one. I'm gonna borrow
Don't
that.
Don't you? What is up with you guys in Hall of Fames? Don't you guys have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too?
Yeah.
Why?
And I think the Air and Space. I think.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Think of all the better places it could have been.
To be fair, this is the birthplace of professional football, so
Well, no, that
I
I'm
like that the
fine
ad
with. No, that
professional.
I'm fine with. But the rock and roll one, what was going on with Ohio?
I don't know what that one. I don't know.
It must have been Drew Carey. Somebody went in the fat. Anyway, I'm not even going to try to make sense of that joke. So, because he did Cleveland Rocks in his intro, but yes, I understand that show came out after the Hall of Fame. So I'm not going to try to make sense of the time machine setting. Anyway, speaking of time machine, what do you have? It seems like somebody's got a leak here. Breaking news. You have
just got this in the mail.
For the folks that might be listening to this audio only in the future, Ducky has in his hands a very official looking notice. UFL Season 2 final script do not leak, but I feel you might be doing the opposite. Well, let's just ignore the bottom part and we'll wait for the legal notices later. Anything interesting to report?
St. Louis, for the first time ever, 0-11, and they lose on a bye. That's insane.
Well, I was gonna say, how do they lose a playoff game? But I'm glad you made sense of that. Sign them up.
So I actually have a theory. You know, there's only one way you lose
That's
on
it.
a bye week.
That's the only league.
That's the entire season.
The only week of the year.
That's all I got.
Okay.
The other, they're just blank.
Well, wait, what was that
They
on the
only
top
gave you
of
the
that?
most important.
What was on the top of it?
Showboat's 12-0.
How that can't be possible because there
I
can't be
don't
two
know.
teams that are 12-0. There's nothing about the Roughnecks in there.
Oh, from Daryl Johnston. Who's that?
Uh-oh.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. This is why you have to be tuning in to Around the UFL. James couldn't make it, and you know what? Early bird gets the worm, so I'm not even mad at you, Ducky. James could have broken that news, but no.
Wow. Ducky's our second insider. Confirmed?
Insider. Yeah, I hardly know her.
Oh, man. I'm seeing stars after that one a little bit.
I'm gonna steer this ship I think for a moment towards something that we do need to talk about before we leave here because it was a big deal yesterday. Zach Potter, he will not be with Birmingham anymore. He is heading to what is I am going to predict is soon to be a Pac-12 school in Sacramento State as their general manager. Thoughts initially, because I'll tell you, massive loss I think for the league, but let's be fair. Dude, we were lucky we had 3 years of seeing this guy do master classes of roster management. So got to give some props. And Birmingham fans have to be thrilled that they got 3 seasons of really high quality football and talent out their way. But is a large talent drain drop there in Birmingham, at least for someone that can manage that for Skip.
Yeah, being a GM in a Division I school at what is he 24? I think that's ridiculous. Like that's incredible. It gives him a lot more upward momentum, which I think is why he took that job. Obviously, Sacramento State's a place that's like trying to get to the FBS. We'll see if that happens or not. But either way, like this is I think a clear upgrade of a position. And I think it's a good thing for the league. Obviously, you don't love that you lose a guy like that, but seeing guys actually like use that as stepping stones is something that is good for the league. And I hope to see more of. I hope to see younger guys get into opportunities like that they can take advantage of going forward. We'll see if Skip decides to go young again or if he gets someone a little bit more defined. I don't know exactly where his head would be at with that. But I'm happy for him. I think that's a really good spot to land. You're going at one of the best FCS schools. So yeah, I think it's something that it'll be interesting to see how they replace him. But overall, it's just kind of something that shows you like, it's not just players getting opportunities. You can see coaches and even GMs get opportunities from this league.
Right. And that's really what it's all about. That was the one thing I really like to see out of this was, okay, we've seen it even on the officials level, right? We've seen referees move up from the spring league up to the NFL. We've seen players, we're seeing now coaches, and this is just another one of those moves that you love to see. Now, we all kind of knew it was going to happen at some point. You can't win back-to-back championships at that age, right? Be making those moves. And I mean, I just imagine all of the things that he did learn from Skip and all of the other people that were around him. And, the thing for him, he's going to move on to this opportunity. He's going to keep learning. He's got another 5-10 years of learning. And if he's executing at this level already, I mean, it's really only a matter of time before we see this dude in the NFL. That's my take. Now, one thing I did like that, naturally there were Stallions fans that were, they didn't love to see the news, but they were angry about it. They were all kind of happy and appreciative to see this guy take that next step. I love to see that because there might be, and maybe the Roughnecks would be one of those fandoms. I don't know. I can't speak on that quite yet, but there are probably some fandoms, whether it's in spring football or outside of spring football, that would just be either upset or angry or whatever about it. So I do like the class there. Will it impact them? We'll see. It's already hard to win 4 championships in a row, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
That
And he
ever
was
been
there for a good amount of the offseason. I feel like it probably has.
I feel like a team's gone 4 times.
Yeah, well, that I know. Yeah. They just had the opposite luck. Man, how do you do that? Oh,
I think I don't remember who brought this up in our Discord, but just kind of to mention, this seems like this kind of came out of almost a shift in what Sacramento State had. Just kind of, we need someone now, and maybe we had an idea already if this were to happen in some ways. I mean, for example, one of the reasons why this position is open is we have the former GM of Sacramento State, Jerry Simon. I feel bad that I do not know the pronunciation there, but to put that in perspective, former receiver for Maryland, he moves from Sacramento State to Maryland, is announced as of today of that notice.
So
Happens
that
to be
was
the Potter goes
actually that was interesting because he was rumored to be taking that spot. He was a GM in the CFL. So Sacramento State was really looking around these alt football leagues clearly because these are 2 opportunities. He's now the GM at Maryland. He got a better opportunity to go back to home where I'm at. But that's something that I think is interesting too, is that they were looking for these kind of professional football minds too, because with college football going more and more with NIL and some of these other transfer portal, all that kind of stuff, there's been a lot of talk about getting professionals, obviously Bill Belichick being the big example of that, but you're seeing teams kind of go for more of an NFL model where you have a GM. That Maryland hasn't had a GM in previous years. This is their first ever guy with that official title. So that's something that I noticed through all this. They just got a new head coach, which is why they're getting brand new people and all that, rebuilding kind of what that structure looks like. But yeah, I think that's something, obviously not really UFL related, but that is something to watch, and I think something that why someone like Zach Potter would be valued enough to give him such a big role despite being so young.
I mean, I think it's a good point to bring up, and also thank you for clarification on that notice, so we didn't say it fully. I didn't just lay that out there and just roll with it. But to put it lightly, college football, like you're talking, it's definitely feeling like it's getting more into professional weeds anymore with how things have to be operated with, NIL pools and monies and free agency in the portal is way more prevalent. So it's almost like we're getting another professional-esque setting with a few different barriers around it that make it unique. So, those jobs, I think you're absolutely right. They're going to be more and more prominent as we go. Because, I mean, it's one thing to have coaches go and recruit people and be like, hey, good old boy, come join my program. You'll have a great 4 years here. Now you have the initial pitch, and then it's a guy going, okay, who the hell's available out on the market now that I can go and get for coach as well? instead of him just going to your home and trying to get you for those first few seasons or something like that.
Yeah, and with the transfer portal, you need to like have like a pseudo like the NFL has their college scouting department and then they have their pro scouting. You kind of need that at the highest level too. So I think that's another thing where more pro minds are going to get sucked into college sports because they are looking for that kind of structure.
Mm-hmm.
I think we also have some transactions if that's
Oh no, we're going to definitely touch those.
yeah, that's really the last thing I think.
I think we couldn't get away with that. I already insulted you earlier today with, with who can forget who built this amazing and fantastic roster Excel spreadsheet. Hey, I love that everyone clowned on me for that, by the way, in the Discord, being like, "Oh, the worst 7 words I could ever hear." Does anyone have a roster doc?
Really specifying up to date really was what like dug that knife in, you know.
Oh my god. My only defense, and it's a lame defense, is I grabbed the one from last year and I was like, oh shit, there's no new one. Realizing later that I have already brought the new one and I already had it from earlier. It just was lost in my Google Drive. I regret to say that.
Yeah.
We're not on the same page anymore. I have to restore trust.
You're gonna have to work hard for it.
What was I gonna say? I felt like I had something to interject with before we jumped into transactions. I don't know. It's probably something stupid. So we'll move on. So what transactions do you guys want to talk about?
There's a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we got? Is there new ones that just came up?
Well, we got the 3 that James Baker brought up in the chat, which is Jay Sternberger and LaMichael Petway going to Birmingham, Hakeem Butler landing in St. Louis again. So some massive re-signings. But I think a lot of this conversation the last few days actually has been over this Damon Arnett pickup in Houston. Funny enough, we have a Houston transaction to talk for Mr. 12-0.
You know, it's a tough one for me because I don't know if you know. Maybe you do after this episode. Man, Ohio State, it's like bittersweet. I love that. I'm like, oh, great. Oh, Ohio State, just a dagger in the heart. You might as well be not even a Packers player. If they would have said Packers fan listed under his name, it would equally been like, oh, God, geez, why? But you know what? I'm actually excited. We can fix some problems.
I was gonna say I don't think that's the concern with it.
I think Ducky can highlight the concern.
I don't think that's why you're worried about it.
Wait, what are you guys worried about?
No, doesn't matter. No, I mean, okay. This is what I'll say about Arnett with the signing. Obviously, very talented. I'm not like he was still a bust before all the legal stuff, so I'm not gonna pretend like this is gonna be like I think DeAndre Baker last year for DC or Garyon Conley is kind of what you're looking at, where like maybe this guy's like one of the best cornerbacks. I don't think he's gonna be like otherworldly, especially 2 years out of football. But this is kind of the move where I feel like the team it goes to really matters. And had this been Birmingham or St. Louis, I think I would have given them a little bit more benefit of the doubt, because it's like, well, they keep making it work, so we'll see. And I feel like there's less risk there, where like, hey, if this guy doesn't work out, we have other guys. Houston, I'm concerned. I'm not like, obviously if it works out, great. Like, I'm not rooting against him, and it's a very fun signing because it's like, oh, former first round pick, but the dude had like charges this year. It wasn't like he had something like a couple years. It wasn't like Cavante Turpin where he had the legal trouble, and that was heinous in its own right. But he had done his time and worked his way back. This guy got charged like within a calendar year after getting cut for a different charge. So that's what really concerns me. Of like, this is not really that great of a culture fit. And
I think it is, because after he helps us go 12-0, he's gonna have another charge on him.
What was he even? What did he have? Assault with a deadly weapon?
That was
charge was methamphetamine possession. So
yeah,
Oh.
and
But it was a
also
little. It was
a
just
weapon
less.
charge
It was
too.
less than a gram.
Yeah, assault with a deadly weapon. Why did St. Louis didn't pick this guy up. What's going on
Hang
here?
on. It says unlawful carrying of firearms. I don't see assault on the shirt.
No, that's
Well,
the other one.
Yeah, so May
There's two.
16,
Earlier.
2023.
Last year's, not now.
That
Although me still saying that this charge from later is not as important.
yeah.
Is also its own whatever. Oh my god!
But it's all settled.
The absolute leash length has to be so damn short on Damon Arnett. That's the only thing I'll put is like, yes, this is a talent that is coming that came from Ohio State, who has put some amazing Ohio State. Yes. Okay. Anyway.
Ohio State.
Don't say that.
One
Your team's
of-
not even in the playoffs. I don't even think Towson would even make whatever division playoffs they're in.
They didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I think though, like Arnett and some of the other signings, obviously the ones today, have kind of pointed to like when January comes, that's when things get really serious.
Yeah.
And you're seeing teams like make splash signings pretty routinely now. This week obviously you got Birmingham bringing back Sternberger, Petway, and also Matt Corral, which that was a little bit ago, but that's another one that I think you're starting to see teams kind of put it all together. You got DC signing Lynn Bowden, Birmingham getting J. Sanders. The teams are kind of starting to like, okay, now that guys are like, okay, I know I'm not getting an NFL gig. The NFL season ends in a week. You're seeing guys kind of finally make that jump. And I also think next week's going to be even bigger because, next Monday, 18 of the 32 NFL teams practice squads become available. And so you're going to see a big influx of guys that are going to suddenly be free agents. Some guys that we know, some new faces, especially at quarterback. I think like there's like 25-ish quarterbacks on practice squads and not a ton of guys who are super notable who are just available. So I think we're going to see a few of those guys jump over into the league. Especially teams like Memphis and St. Louis. There's been mention of them being interested in one of these guys. DC, I think a few of these teams are going to go after some guys. Birmingham, I think, could absolutely get a guy to compete with Corral. And so this is going to be starting to ramp up. I think in 2 or 3 weeks we'll have even more, and it'll be interesting to see. I definitely think this whole offseason, though, I've seen teams kind of realize that the Birmingham model is the way to win championships. And you've seen teams like San Antonio, which already did a good job, but really St. Louis and DC go out and get notable names and really like punch outside of their weight class. And I'm excited to see because I think the ball this year will be the best yet because they're going after and really like, this year has been with no craziness, no merger or anything. They've just been going out and trying to get the best possible talent. And I think that's going to show in March and April and as the season goes on.
Yeah, all settled in now. So that's part of the deal. Got to show off Appa Cam. We had a request already, so Ducky's making sure we got plenty of Appa in these shots. But my thing is like, yeah, you're gonna be talking about, settled in. So now like Nick, perfect job with bringing up that there's gonna be more available talent here very soon. My thought line is like, I think we've seen so much of Birmingham doing this methodology at this point to where teams and even I think feel like league officials are like, okay, look, you're still going to get these guys get opportunities, but like, hey, let's bring in the people that bring in some competitive football and elevate your game as well to where maybe we can get some more dynamic play in here. I feel like St. Louis in particular, like with Anthony Becht, I feel like they looked at what the two rosters that got to the UFL championship in St. Louis did and went, all right, we're just going to double down on what they're doing and essentially just go in on high profile re-signings and grab guys that we're like, we know we can get if we coerce and talk enough in the NFL circles to try and lean our way. And that's all I keep seeing is they're basically looking at their top two big bads and are trying to say fight fire with fire, and we're going to try and burn the fire a little hotter than you two is how we'll do it.
Yeah, and I'll also mention Memphis. Their roster is still pretty incomplete at the moment. They got a lot of spots available,
Yes.
but when I think it was on this podcast last time we did an episode, I mentioned how I was like, it's cool that they're re-signing a bunch of these maulers, but they need to go out and get new faces and guys from the NFL, and they've gone out and they've done that for the most part since then, to the point where they signed 3 guys who immediately re-signed back into the NFL, which we'll see if they get any of those 3 guys. I think they probably will. They might get all 3, honestly. But those we're starting to see with them too, that like they might be a little bit, they need a good January, but like they could also be in that phase of like, hey, we're starting to realize this is how you win games, and they're going after it in that manner. And I think it's just going to make the play even better, because teams like Memphis and Houston and Arlington and DC last year kind of just fell behind and didn't realize, hey, this is another level. We need to really fight to get the best possible roster we can. We can't just sit on our laurels and say, hey, we'll just run it back from last year. It'll be good enough.
Different time, more combined talent. And here's my thing with this too. I feel like if you're wanting to get a championship now, I'm not saying you can't in any other year, but like we start expanding that talent pool, we talk about it. There's plenty of people out there you can find. You can search where you want, but it does get thinner. You do start thinning a little bit more if you start adding more teams. I know that's not immediately on people's radar, but like that's like a future proofing and like future discussion thing. If they really are serious about next year adding like double digits, then you got another 106 players right off the bat that are just either going to go different ways, or sorry, I'm going to the new team. I got someone that I trust over here, so early, the sooner the better to get some wins. It's going to get even harder soon if you aren't gearing up.
For sure.
Absolutely. Do we have anything else this week? I don't know if there's that. I mean, the big thing was the schedule. The other big thing is we are, kicking off the season with a big old win from the Roughnecks. So, I'm excited there. We talked about some transactions. Ducky, you had the massive news, big leak, which I didn't make a big stink about it, but I did have exclusive news about the Battlehawks as well. But it goes in line with your news. We didn't talk about this before the show, but it did line up. My news was they were going to lose first week. Your news is they're going to lose every week, including a bye.
Yep.
Good sources. I like it. You know what I mean? It's ready for print too. 2 sources ready to go. Anyway, final thoughts from the crew. Ducky, I guess we'll start with you. Any final thoughts before we head out into the sunset, head out into a brand new year, head out into a weekend, hopefully a long weekend for many of you, or a weekend at all. But final thoughts.
I think Memphis has a good defense. I think they're going to do good this year. Depends on who's heading that defense. We don't know what's going on there yet, but I'm sure they're going to pick the right person.
Give them all copper fits.
Hopefully we'll be talking about that on one of these episodes of around the UFL. Maybe next week, maybe a couple weeks. I don't know. I don't even know, to be honest with you, but hopefully soon. Training camp is really right around the corner. So you would anticipate we would know probably full coaching staffs from all of the teams, probably at least by the end of this month at the latest, right? Nick, you would probably know. What do you have the exact date that training camp starts? It feels like you might be that guy.
I don't. I think I saw that it would be like early March though.
Oh,
Why we
okay.
need James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like, I think James. Yeah, I think James said that in the Discord. But I
stupid
don't.
James.
Yeah.
Anybody in chat now?
I want one leak. Give me one source, please.
You got
Zach,
any of those news
Jet. I love it. Zach, any final thoughts from you?
Spring stock 2024, baby. Get ready.
2025.
March 28th, Houston, Texas. It's going to be hot. It's going to be rocking. We've got a date set up, and we'll have more official things about it as we build up. But now tell people, spread the word. It's going down on Friday night.
Yeah,
And
dude.
Friday afternoon.
Oh, Friday night. This is actually first Friday night spring stock. So I'm excited about that. We'll have more details soon. We'll have a whole new logo soon. And if you want the logo faster, well, not a whole new logo, but it's gonna have the number 4 after it. So we just don't have that.
Oh,
we're waiting for
stock logo.
we're waiting for a number 4. So if you want that to show up faster, go online to what is this stupid? Is it Panther Shadow?
Panther Shadow.
Panther Shadow. You tag him. Say cheese soda, Panther Shadow. He's probably got like 20 other Twitter. Find them all. Find all the Twitters. Tag them. Say, hey, get that number 4 so we can have that ready because we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it all set up. Oh, it's so exciting that it's in Houston. And here's the thing: I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I can do it. But if I can do it and I can find a way to do it, I really would love to have swangers on the Tesla. It couldn't be a long-term thing because my swangers are amazing. Hold on, let me pull them up here.
He went and made sure to explain this to me last year when I visited.
I can't believe you haven't asked me sooner, or maybe I don't talk about it on this show.
I just hear all the stuff you say all the time, and I'm like, I'm not questioning that. If I question that, I'm gonna get a whole entire Wikipedia page about it.
I had a guy at work. They're doing an event here in Houston, and they asked me about Houston, and they said, "Do you have cactuses in Houston?" And I said, "Well, we got swangers." And I'm at work, and of course the guy's like, "What's that?" I'm like, oh, yeah, why would you? Well, no normal person. Well, I want to say no person outside of Houston knows what a swanga is, but this is it. I'm shocked. I don't know how people drive with them without like hitting the car next to them. It feels like I absolutely couldn't put these on the car my wife drives. That's for sure. Because the rims are already jacked up from the street. So, well, maybe this is exactly what I need. Anyway, I want these for my car. And if you have them, show up to Springstock. Maybe we'll do a swangers show. I'm going to get the word out. If I can somehow.
Oh my God.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. Swangers show, Springstock 4, show off them swangs.
Wild.
Anyway, that's what a swang is. And so hopefully there's some folks out there that didn't know that we're informed. Now, I would also like to get referee stripes for the car as well. That one's proving to be more difficult than you would imagine. You would think stripes on a car.
Really?
Not hard. How difficult should it be to slap on like 7 more narrow stripes on a car? It shouldn't be that difficult. I got the license plate, so we've already made it that far.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say, I am going to wrap it up here. Here's what you all can do, because I see not everybody that's watching this has liked the video. So here's what you can do. You can like the video. It's free. And I always say if it's free, it's me. So sign you up, get on that as well. If it's free, it's you. And that doesn't rhyme, but you know, if you say it, it makes sense and it rhymes. It's free. It's me. You can also subscribe, click the bell. It builds morale. And also let you know when we're going live, just like this at Around ATU. Or around ATU. Screw it. At Around ATU.
Around the UFL.
I like it even better. At Around the ATU. Even more better. And Springstock 4, the Springstock with the largest number in it. It's coming up. It's taking place in Houston. I think that's it, guys. So until next time, sign you up. Now, we don't get to say the Battlehawks suck anymore. It really just cut us off right away.
Damn.
Oh, well.
We need to figure this out.
Can I go back live real quick? Hold on. Will it join?
It would make a new.
I should have turned off the auto stop because I would just Battlehawks suck and just jump back up.
Yeah, we'll work out the kinks because we got to keep the tradition alive.
Yeah. So I got to figure out the chat thing. I feel like there probably is a way I just got to figure that out. I really like the rotating camera thing. The rotating camera thing is fucking cool. Yeah. I should have turned off the auto stop because I